Order.
A fall economic statement unlike any other after the finance minister quit.
She's now resigned minutes before presenting her fall economic update. This cannot go on.
Those very documents shrouded under black sheets for 4 hours. It wasn't until the afternoon that it became clear it would be released. The Liberals' House Leader tabled the document instead.
She came in, tabled, and then ran it out before there could be any accountability or scrutiny.
How much did they blow past the $40 billion? Is it a big deficit or is it a super duper deficit?
The government's deficit ballooned to close to $62 billion the last fiscal year. That's about $20 billion more than the government's self-imposed target because of one-time costs from COVID liabilities and Indigenous lawsuits.
With all due respect, this is on her as much as it is on the Prime Minister.
In a resignation letter, Freeland warned the Prime Minister that facing down Donald Trump's tariff threat means keeping our fiscal powder dry today so we have the reserves we may need for a coming tariff war. That means eschewing costly political gimmicks.
At a time when Canadians are struggling, we are happy to bring forward measures that are going to assist them. Things like the GST tax cut.
The price tag for that tax break on holiday essentials is pegged at $1.6 billion and is part of $24 billion in new spending over 6 years.
We're still seeing a relatively high spending government that is not necessarily keeping enough powder dry for what could happen between now and the next budget.
Trump has demanded action from Canada to curb human smuggling and the flow of illegal drugs into the U.S. This economic statement includes $1.3 billion to beef up security at the border. The big question now, will that be enough to stop those tariffs? Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
So this is a critical time to bring in senior business correspondent Peter Armstrong. Peter, you were in the lockup. You've been pouring through this update. What is the story it tells you about the Canadian economy?
Adrienne, it's a tough one because, the politics of the day have just so completely overshadowed the economics of this document. But the context of this is important. Canada's economy is slowing, which means less revenue, which in turn means less wiggle room. So bigger deficits matter, right? A $62 billion deficit last year, even if it's a one-time affair, it's massive. So now the Liberals will say the vast majority of the new spending that they're introducing here is going to increase, for example, tax competitiveness, $24 billion in new spending. Most of that is this tax plan that allows businesses to write down investments more quickly. But look, the big issue here is what's going to happen to the Canadian economy if Trump makes good on his threat and imposes these sweeping tariffs. The economic update is built on this series of projections and assumptions from the private sector, but they build in a worst and a best case scenario. And this worst case scenario, it doesn't even begin to explore what a real trade war would look like and what that would mean, not just for the economy, but for government books as well.
And on a day like this today, Peter, people often wonder, what's happening with the markets. So what did happen there?
Yeah, I wondered the same thing, and they barely moved. And it's interesting in that it kind of tells me that markets lost faith and confidence in this government a while ago. And interestingly, Adrienne, there's always, businesses or business associations that are willing to go out and say they've lost faith in any government of any day. But that group grew today. People were out there publicly saying that this chaos and this uncertainty is bad for confidence, it's bad for investing, and it's bad for business.
All right, Peter Armstrong in Ottawa tonight. Thank you.
You bet.